With marijuana legal in Canada, can pilots join the festivities? In this video, I'm going to talk about the new rules, your aviation medical, and cover some warnings that you need to be aware of. Welcome back to Aviator Inspirations. So nice to have you back and see all your smiling faces. On this channel, I take the mystery out of the aviation industry. So if you're new here, consider subscribing so you don't miss any of my future videos. Marijuana has finally been legalized in Canada. But what does it mean for pilots and cabin crew? The government and the airlines are having a hard time keeping up, and there are so many unknowns that they have implemented some strict rules. What are these new rules, you might ask? Every airline has revised your alcohol and drug policies to specifically cover the use of recreational cannabis by employees. The policy states that employees working in safety-critical areas at the company, including flight operations and aircraft maintenance, will be prohibited from using cannabis and cannabis products at all times, both on and off duty. They are essentially protecting themselves with this blanket statement until Transport Canada has more time to implement new policies and to study the effects of cannabis on the human body. This has many people outraged because how can an employer prohibit you from doing anything you want on your personal time and your days off? Personally, I don't think this kind of ban is the correct approach, but I also wouldn't advise going against the company and risking your license to find out if they can legally do that or not. For example, Nav Canada, the private company that operates the country's air traffic control system, is not prohibiting cannabis. Instead, it's relying on its zero tolerance policy to ensure the fitness of employees at work. Their policy will be for the controllers to show up fit for work and not impaired under the influence of cannabis. This seems to me like a more appropriate attitude towards professionals. I mean, a company's gonna trust me with a $30 million airplane, but they can't trust me to show up fit for work to fly? At the end of the day, and from my research, the conclusion seems to be that yes, a company can dictate what a pilot can do in their personal time when it comes to alcohol and drugs. Because it's recreational use and not medical, the employer's alcohol and drug policy does take precedence. If you needed cannabis for medical reasons, then that would trump the alcohol and drug policy. But if you needed cannabis for medical reasons, then you wouldn't be in a safety-sensitive job to begin with. So the short answer to whether pilots can consume cannabis in Canada is no. But then you might ask, how will they actually know? Currently, Canada does not have random drug testing like they do in the US and many other countries. But Transport Canada is interested in implementing that in Canada, so that could become a reality for Canadian pilots in the future. What about during your medical? Currently, there's no official physical test during your aviation medical. All they can do is verbally ask you questions. They will ask if you have used cannabis during the previous year. If you answer yes, you might get away with a warning. They will also ask if you used cannabis in the previous month, and if you answer yes to this question, that immediately disqualifies your medical. So as you can see, currently it's just an honor system. Because Canada does not have random drug testing, they don't have a legal structure to be able to test for cannabis use during your aviation medical without just cause. Again, this could change in the future, so depending on when you watch this video, check in the comments section below. Any new changes and information I'll be putting down there. Now, let me cover some warnings. Even though Canada doesn't have random drug testing, and you're not really tested during your aviation medical, any company who you apply for, especially the regionals, will request a drug test as part of the hiring process. The difference here is that you are agreeing to do this voluntarily, and if you refuse, the company will refuse to hire you. It's as simple as that. So if your aspirations are to move quickly in this aviation career, especially with this pilot shortage, and you decide to use cannabis, you are taking a huge risk in testing positive on your drug test. What if you're already flying for an airline? Then your chances of getting caught are lower. However, if you fly into a country that does have random drug testing, like the US, then you could be caught there. There is nothing prohibiting them from testing a Canadian pilot, and if you test positive, you could be banned from the US for life. Imagine what that will do to your career. Now, if you have no intention of consuming cannabis and these rules have not even crossed your mind, you still have to be vigilant and cautious. Secondhand marijuana smoke has led to positive results, or someone can feed you an edible without you ever knowing. There was a story of a pilot in the US who was at a friend's house and ate a piece of candy not knowing it was an edible, and he ended up testing positive on a drug test. His life fell apart. He was fired, lost his license, and once he finally realized what had happened, it took him nearly a year to fight for his license back from the FAA and prove that he was not a cannabis user. Another story was that someone gave the entire crew marijuana brownies, and they ate them. Once airborne, they started to feel the effects and realized what had happened, and they had to make an emergency landing. As you can see, your career can be easily ruined, either by accident or a malicious act. So as professional pilots, it's always been our responsibility to show up fit for duty because we have a lot of responsibilities. We literally have people's lives in our hands. But now we have a whole new set of challenges to deal with. It's like level 10 in Tetris, where not only do we have to deal with long delays, weather, and mechanical issues, we now have to be so much more situationally aware and prevent cannabis from entering our system. And remember, this is a brand new and evolving topic, and that's all the information we currently have. But as more becomes available, I'll be updating you guys in the comments section. So smash that like button if you found this video helpful, subscribe if you'd like to see other aviation content, and I'll see you in the next episode.